Welcome back. You're watching Newscentre. Investment firm Recognize has announced a successful closure of its second fund after securing over $1.7 billion in commitments to back next-generation digital services companies. As per the company, Recognize Fund 2 was oversubscribed with strong participation from existing limited partners and significant demand from new blue-chip investors as well. Recognize invests in companies with enterprise values between approximately $50 million and $500 million. I caught up with Francisco D'Souza, managing partner and co-founder at Recognize, and began by asking him about the kind of companies Fund 2 will invest in.
Fund 2 is a continuation, Parikshit, of our original mission. We are focused on building the next generation of digital services companies. We invest only in digital services businesses. We tend to focus on businesses that have enterprise values of approximately $50 to $500 million and businesses that we think are refining the services industry using proprietary technology, AI, platforms, and IP. And our plan is simple. We bring strategic capital, we bring deep domain expertise and operational expertise in services firms, and a real partnership mindset with our portfolio companies to drive differentiation and growth.
Right. Within digital services, are there particular areas, particular kind of companies or startups which you're more interested in, especially in India?
You know, India is an incredibly important geography to recognize. We've made 14 investments at Recognize in the firm's life. 9 of those 14 had a presence in India. Of the 12 that are active now in the portfolio, 7 have a presence in India. 30% of the workforce across all our portfolio companies is in India. So India is a very important geography to us. And as we focus on this next generation of digital services businesses, we're investing in areas like services around cybersecurity, services around digital infrastructure, and so on. We continue to expect to have a significant presence in India.
All right. Now, coming to generative AI, now this is going to be a big focus area for the government on how to promote Gen AI. What's your view? If India has to win the Gen AI revolution, what do we need to do in terms of supporting startups and supporting the ecosystem in the country?
Yeah, look, I think, first of all, I think that speaking from a services standpoint, which is one dimension of the generative AI opportunity, I think that the underlying value of Indian IT and Indian technology services, that is the deep bench of talent, deep tech capabilities, the execution muscle, those things remain intact. AI will change the industry in, I think, very fundamental ways. I think we're going to have to learn how to build services companies, digital services companies, where humans and agents, humans and AI learn how to collaborate together, how to work together, how humans' potential can be amplified by AI. And I think that the government has an important role to play here. I think particularly in the areas of skills and skill retraining. I think potentially in the area of creating areas of investment focus, as the government did in the very early days of the IT services industry. But overall, I think that generative AI represents a considerable and substantial opportunity for India and for the Indian IT services ecosystem, and one that I'm tremendously excited about.
Right. Now, just to ask you about the kind of disruptions we are going to see as a result of the kind of tariff policies that Donald Trump is implementing. What would be your outlook for digital services both in the US and in India?
You know, look, I think that policies like we've seen recently create some short-term complexity. But I think as I go back to, I think the underlying value of Indian IT, you know, the talent, the tech capabilities, the execution muscle, those things remain intact. And so I think that, you know, IT services firms need to think about investing in local delivery models, investing in how to diversify go-to-market strategies, and importantly, leading with IP-driven offerings, which in some senses make policy and policy decisions less of a bottleneck.
Right. Which companies in the digital services segment do you think will really stand out, and those which will be in trouble by the end of 2025?
I think that if I were thinking about this, I would say that when I think about services companies, I think that the future is hybrid, and to me that means that services companies that embed AI, embed automation, embed proprietary IP and platforms are going to lead the charge. And I would be looking at the IP quotient of every services business and saying, how IP intensive is the business? I think the businesses that are more IP intensive are the ones that will, over time, win in the new model. And I would point to businesses like Palantir that have really, I think, created a services and a hybrid of services and product models as the ones that we should look to for the models of the future.
Now, in terms of investments, where would you say is the bulk of your attention? Would it be in the United States? Would it be in China? Would it be in Europe? Which are some of the geographies, most important geographies for you?
It's a complicated question only because in our businesses there are the geographies where our clients are, the clients of our portfolio companies, and then there are the geographies where we go to find talent to be able to deliver, and those two things are often not the same. I think that when we look at client geographies, obviously the places which have been technology intensive will continue to be the places where we focus our attention. So geographies like the US, like Europe, both Central and the UK and Western Europe, to some extent Asia. But then when we think about the talent pools around the world continue to be in places like India, in Eastern Europe, and Latin America. So you see that reflected in our current portfolio, and I suspect that will continue to be the case going forward.
Francisco D'Souza, thank you very much for joining us. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. More updates continue right here.